That was at a time when it was 70% Tampa, 8% Manatee, and 22% St. Pete. The district used to be as large as 54% black. Well, it's now down to 38% black.
Right.
So it's a largely white Hispanic seat.
And my opinion is phenomenally committed, super hardworking. He's one of the hardest working people I know. He's also been very talented at securing financial allocations for projects here at home. That's not a small thing, and I really want to punctuate that point because we've had representatives in the past who held the seats that Ruslan has held who were not as successful in bringing money home. Part of the reason, through my interpretation of why Ruslan is so successful, in addition to his fabulous personality, is that he crosses the aisle. He understands how to work across party lines, across ideological lines, and would you agree, Ruslan, is one of the ingredients to your success? So let's get up and start that line. Thank you. And we're going to be super quiet as mice. Like nobody that tries to do anything big and bold is loved by all. You can see from the map, he represents portions of, and Ruslan, just jump in and correct me wherever I mistake facts, portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough County.
Right.
And we did strike a balance in how organizations work together to go after resources cooperatively. We're now going to have to apply that at a regional level.
Okay, Soul for Habitat, a new event that we're going to be doing. It's the first time we're bringing it to Manhattan Casino.
From youth all the way to seniors. So with that said, we're just trying to take it all in and see what ways I can give assistance.
And trying to make the libraries new.
What you all are doing. I have served in elected office. I've been very engaged in rabble rousing most of my life, so I get it. Been there.
Quickly, because I do want to get into some discussion on a few other elements as it relates to the plan. But I would encourage you to visit the website, stpete.org/. So you can see the ballpark in the northeast corner of the site. There is a entertainment plaza called Ray's Way that runs through the middle of the site. It's a little hard to see. We don't have ballpark parking. It's about 10,000 cars that are required. And we don't have ballpark visitors. Yes, the Rays are last, sometimes second to last in attendance, but it's parking. To do a new 150,000 square foot office. It'll be the first office built in downtown, new office built in downtown in decades. They'll be adding 300 new jobs at about 115% of Pinellas County median wage.
Was it unsolicited?
It was unsolicited, so the city put it out on a 30-day to receive other proposals. We did receive one, and it was for luxury housing.
Jobs that they're going to offer to the people who live in that neighborhood and who desperately need some of that work.
As part of the term sheet that we're putting together with it, because it is city-owned property, so we have some say in how they would move forward with the project. We are referring them to our St. Pete Works Collaborative and put a requirement that they hire X percentage of residents from the South St. Petersburg CRA.
And will there be some oversight that the X% that they hire are not at the lowest possible echelon, but that they are fully integrated across the board into any level job for which they are qualified or could become qualified?
Absolutely, yes. Sir.
Okay, so piggybacking on what she said, you have SRI. They got $25 million from the state and the city and a $1 lease downtown. Of the jobs they were supposed to, as part of their agreement, how many of them, was there ever an audit to see what they actually did? That's something recent. It's a large amount of money. And to follow up on that, the money that was given to the MIT lab that came, built the lab, got $12 million, sold the lab, never had the jobs, and then they came back and did it again on the north end of the city, next to Job on the other side of the lake over there. So she asked a question, but we have current companies, recent. So what was the status, whatever happened to those job promises and who followed up?
I am not familiar with the intimate details of either of those projects. That's not something that I'm tied with. I do know that SRI is required to present a report to City Council I do not know the last time that has occurred, but I have heard from City Council they will be requesting SRI come in and give an update shortly.
Creating jobs and business opportunities and investment opportunities when these developments come to town. And then to Alex's point, then monitoring whether those developments.
One of the best things we can do, and we might build into the community benefits agreement language, is when we passed in Miami-Dade living wage requirements.
They understand where the city is headed in this. They want to hear from the community.
Oh, wow.
They want to make sure this is a community-driven effort. It is not a city-driven effort.
You said it doesn't make a difference if you call it downtown or South St. Peter.
Census tracts.
I understand that, but you have to make a request from the city, just like the same way the city works with the University in Gainesville for future housing money in terms of growth for HUD.
Is working on a one community development project for that site. Okay, so that's a totally separate piece of.
Opportunity to present our suggestions for design elements and strategies for the Dome project. We presented a letter with recommendations.
Ends up happening, no matter what is guaranteed, we're going to guarantee you X amount of affordable housing for 20 years or whatever. That's pennies. What ultimately ends up happening is all of the area around it becomes increasingly unaffordable because the taxes become unaffordable. And even if you're homesteaded, it's still going to go up. Plus, from what I can see here, there seems to be a real good network of people who like to rat their neighbors out for some little insignificant problem that then becomes a lien on the property. So this is a long time process to basically move everybody out of this area. I mean, that seems perfectly obvious to me, and we just got here. This is not hard to see what will happen. So I think the broader question isn't what's going to happen in that development, but how it will impact all the people who live in and around that area.
It's pumping 10 and 20,000 units. They officially tell HUD there will be no growth. The only way that happens is if they bring in some
topics. There's seven initiatives in what operates and makes a cooperative function correctly. She talked about funding.
And just the overview of what we were trying to portray with New Image News, but I think everybody got that from the great commercial that Corey did.
Okay, all right. So
cost of the production would be, so pretty much in order to get the video made, the cost of production would be $950 for, so what
Corey's help in that group too, because we've got to really carefully message this. We've got to really kind of think through that because it is sort of out of the box.
Well, the first thing is everybody getting on the same page.
Yeah. That's
it. If everybody get on the same page, it'll flow like water. We'll get straight to where we need to go. And when we came up with this piece of $150 an hour, I fractioned it to cost roughly around 9 hours to create a full social media piece for 4 videos. And as far as how Julian was explaining it, okay, this is the vision. Okay, you have a 30-second commercial. You have 4 different individuals from the community that have a 30-second slot to kind of share their story. The creative part comes into the questions that we ask them, how we engage them on film, and the magic happens during the editing process and how we convey the story on social media and connect with the people that's following. So that's where this cost comes in at. As far as the overall total cost, like Gypsy was saying, to show you guys how much it is to advertise on the different social networks. I mean, not social networks,
TV
but
networks?
the actual TV networks. We broke it down into a 4-week period. If it costs us one video to be fully produced at $2,300, y'all following me, right? $2,300.
We got it.
No, I got it.
2.5 minutes. What is